All right, class, today we're going to be looking at question 3 here. What organelles do plants have that animals do not have, and what are their functions? So we just did the organelles that cells in general have, and then plants have a few extra organelles that we'll be looking at today. The first organelle that we'll look at with plants is a cell wall. Now, plants still have a cell membrane. It just sits right inside of the cell wall. And the cell wall helps to protect the cell. It gives the cell shape and structural support. And if you think about what plants have to do, they have to stand up against the force of gravity. They need to have some rigidity to their stems and to their leaves and things like that. And so the cell wall helps to do that. Again, these are plant cells only. Oh, I'll go back one here just to show you again kind of that there is actually a cell wall. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in chapter 5. The cell wall is here. You can see it makes it a rigid shape. And there's a cell membrane still just inside of this. So when we mentioned cell membrane earlier in organelles, they are in plant cells, and it just sits right inside of that cell wall. So cell membrane is inside of the cell wall. The second organelle that plants have is chloroplast, and these function for photosynthesis, which helps make energy from the sun. And so they do have a specific kind of shape here. This is kind of our drawing or computer generated shape to show you. They have different parts inside called the grana and the stroma. We'll get into those a little bit more when we get to chapter 6. So we'll be looking at this more in chapter 6, so you have an idea kind of what it is, but chloroplasts cause photosynthesis or function to do photosynthesis. Okay, and then the third thing is a central vacuole. And this is where materials are stored, mainly water and waste products. And if a plant, we'll get into this a little bit more with chapter 5, if a plant is dehydrated, kind of wilted and dehydrated, this central vacuole will be very small. So you can see here this is what's considered the central vacuole. It gets filled up with water, and if it happens to be a dehydrated plant and needs more water, this will shrink up, and then the cells will shrink up, and that will cause wilting. And then if a plant has just enough water, it'll kind of fill up this central vacuole, which then you can see kind of pushes these organelles to the sides, and it pushes out on the cell membrane, which then pushes out on the cell wall, and it makes the plant look really nice and healthy. Central vacuoles, if they get way too much water, could burst, which would then also cause the plant to die or to wilt. And basically, it's just holding water and waste products. It's in plant cells. Animal cells do have vacuoles that do hold waste products or water or other cell parts. But if we're looking at just the central vacuole, that's something that's in plants that kind of helps fill up the plant with water. And those are the 3 extra organelles that plants have.